Thank you. That response is just very typical of what I've enjoyed all afternoon coming here, and it's just been awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I'd like to thank Todd for that introduction. Thank Dr. Briggs for the invitation to come here, and thank you to everybody for making me feel so comfortable, especially our group over here in Colts Blue that have made me feeling right at home. I have to say this has been a great visit for me. It's just a wonderful, wonderful campus. I went to the University of Minnesota. We had 53,000 students when I went to school there, and we didn't have a campus nearly this big or nearly this nice, so it's been great to see. I'm learning a lot about Berry College, actually. I have to confess, when I got the invitation, I didn't know anything about Berry, and I just started running into more and more people who had a connection here. I was at Florida State a couple of weeks ago, and there's their punter is a young man by the name of Sean Powell. I met him. He said, "Hey, you're going to my hometown," and his dad, I found out, has been involved with the YMCA here. And then another football player, Brad Johnson, who played for me at Tampa. I know his dad's here today, and had a great connection from some football players. So you think, well, that's normal. But I was actually in New York on Monday and Tuesday, and I was just walking down the street, and I bumped into a guy and said, "Hey, you're going to be at Berry College on Thursday." And I said, "First of all, how did you know, and where is Berry College?" But I've been running into that for the last 3 weeks, so you're more famous than you might think, and it's been fun getting to learn about you and getting to know you. And that's been a fun part of what I've done the last 3 months since I retired. I've had a chance to speak, to go to a lot of places to visit, and talk to a lot of young people, and that's been tremendously rewarding. Usually when I talk to the youth, I talk about my latest book, Uncommon, and talk about decision making and how to stay focused in life, and talk about standing up for really what you believe in and not following the crowd. And that's something that young people really do want to hear about and want to learn about. I thought that when I came here, I would be speaking to mostly adults, but we've got a lot of young people in the crowd too, so I'm really looking forward to it. And most of the time, adults want to know about the challenges that I faced in coaching both the Bucks and the Colts, and what my philosophy was. And I do want to talk a little bit about that tonight, talk about what it took to build a winner. And that was my goal going into both of those places. In 1996, I became the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They hadn't had a sterling record at that point in time. I think they had 18 straight losing seasons when I got the job. And then I was there 6 years, and in 2002 went to Indianapolis with the Colts. And in both cases, it was kind of the same thing. The first step, you want to build a winner and get to the point where you feel confident, your players feel confident that you can win. And then you want to build a contender, a team that can fight for a championship every year. You may not win it, but you'd like to be one of those teams that really has a realistic shot. And then ultimately your goal is to win the Super Bowl and win it all and win that championship. And that's kind of what happened in both places. But the trick is staying the course along the way. And it did get progressively harder. We started out in Tampa, and we lost our first 5 games, and that wasn't a great way to start. I was telling the guys, I've got a good plan, believe in me, and we're going to win. And it took us about 2 months to win 1 game. But we got going, and by the second year, we were a winner. And we'd broken the 500 barrier. We got to be a playoff team, and then you want to become a contender. And then finally win that title. But the challenge is really what is fun, even though it does get harder to step up the ladder. But I was always intrigued by it, and I always enjoyed that tough challenge. I played for a guy in Pittsburgh by the name of Chuck Noll, who was a tremendous coach, and when he would explain something to us, and we'd invariably say, that's kind of hard, coach, that's a tough thing to do. And he'd say, of course it's hard. He said, that's why we play football. That's why we have 53 guys on the team, and there's 70,000 people watching, because it's hard. If it was easy, we'd have 70,000 people on the team and only 53 watching. So that always stuck in my mind, that you want those challenges, you want to try to do the tough things, and getting to that championship level was tough. But I had a formula in both places. The very first meeting that I ever had, I put up my chart, and coaches are famous for signs and slogans. And I can remember when I was a basketball player at the University of Minnesota, one of the weirdest ones I ever had was our coach there. He had a sign that said, "Losing is worse than death because you have to live with it." So I didn't want to be one of those guys that had those gimmicky, kind of tricky slogans like that. So I kind of borrowed one from Denny Green and built on it, and for the 13 years I was a head coach, it really did mirror our philosophy, and it was simply said, expectations, execution, no excuses, no explanations. And for 13 years, that's really what we were all about. Expectations. You had to think like a champion. You had to have those high goals. You had to expect to do well and dream about being great. But then, of course, you can't stop at just dreaming. You've got to take that into action, and that's where the execution comes. What do I do day in and day out to make those dreams come true? And then the other side of the coin was what we didn't want. No excuses, no explanation. Not the built-in ideas before the fact. We can't do this because. We can't get this done because we're a small market team. In Tampa, we couldn't win theoretically when it was under 40 degrees because we were a hot weather team. When we got to Indianapolis, we can't win outside because we're a dome team. We're not going to fall into those. We're not going to let people define us. We're not going to have our own built-in reasons why we can't do the job. And then after it's over, no explanations. If we win, we're going to win as champions. We're going to walk out with class. If we don't win, we're going to give the other team credit. We're going to learn from our mistakes, but we're not going to do a lot of talking afterwards about why something happened or it didn't happen. Bottom line being expectations, what you think, execution, what you do. That's what we're interested in. Explanations, excuses, that's what you say. We weren't really interested in that, in a lot of talking. And that was a great formula. And over the course of the years in Tampa and in Indianapolis, we got the players to believe in that. And I think that helped us become winners. But winners have setbacks. And that's the toughest part of it. When you are going along, you do get your guys to believe, and now you have that bump in the road that holds you back a little bit. How do you overcome that? And actually, in the course of trying to get to the top level, you're going to have more setbacks than you have victories. Todd mentioned that I was one of 3 men to play in the Super Bowl and win it, and then coach in the Super Bowl and win it. And people mention that all the time. And it makes me feel good. But what they don't always mention is those events were 27 years apart. I had 26 years where it didn't turn out that well at the end. Had 13 years as a head coach and only won that ultimate goal one time. But what I learned is those other years are important. Those other years prepare you for the victories. Those other years teach you a lot of things. When you don't have that ultimate success, and adversity teaches you one really, really big thing in my mind. It teaches you that you can't give up.